Dear students, I am discussing with you the sentences, that is simple, complex and compound sentences. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss with you about complex sentences. Dear students, a complex sentence has one main clause, or we can say one independent clause, and one or more subordinate or dependent clauses. Got it here? A complex sentence consists of one main clause or one, we can say, independent clause and one or more dependent or subordinate clauses. It's unlike than a compound sentence. A compound sentence has two or more independent clauses or two or more main clauses. So in a compound sentence, you will find only main clauses. Okay, but in a complex sentence, you will find one main clause and one subordinate clause or one or more subordinate clauses. Okay, dear students, got it here? Now, let us understand these complex sentences with the help of examples. Here are certain examples. I met a man who is an artist. Look at this very sentence. It has two parts, or we can say it consists of two clauses. I met a man. This is the main clause of a sentence. Who is an artist? This is the subordinate clause. So here we can say that this is a complex sentence because it consists of one main clause and one subordinate clause, or we can say one independent clause and one dependent clause. Got it here, dear students? Now let's take the second example here. He was always honest although he was poor. This sentence also contains two clauses. First part is the main clause. He was always honest. This is the main clause of the sentence. Although he was poor, this is the subordinate clause. So we can include this sentence into a complex sentence. So here it is the this sentence contains one main clause and one subordinate clause. So it is here a complex sentence. As you are now aware that a complex sentence consists of one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. Similarly, all students passed even though exam was quite difficult. This sentence also has two clauses. All students passed. It is the main clause of the sentence. Even though exam was quite difficult, it is the subordinate clause or it is the dependent clause of the sentence. So it is here a complex sentence. Dear students, when, because, even though, if, until, unless, these words, they are known as, or we can say we call them subordinating conjunctions. They are used in these complex sentences. So you will find when, because, even though, if, until, unless, etc. So they are all subordinating conjunctions. You know that what are the conjunctions. Dear students, if somehow dependent clause comes first, we use comma, or we make the use of comma. So you find that there is dependent clause, there is independent clause. If independent clause comes first, we don't make the use of comma. But if somehow dependent clause comes first, we make the use of comma. Here are certain examples. I have reversed them. Although he was poor, he was always honest. Although he was poor is a dependent clause. It comes first, then definitely we have to make the use of comma. He was always honest. Okay. Similarly, even though exam was quite difficult, this is the dependent clause, or we can say this part is the dependent clause of a sentence. That's why I have here make the use of comma. All students passed. When I arrived home yesterday, I watched TV for an hour. So dear students, you got it here that when dependent clause comes first, we make the use of comma. So in complex sentences, there are we usually found there are two clauses. One is a main clause, or we can say an independent clause, and second one is the subordinate or dependent clause. Similarly, if you confess your fault, I will pardon you. So if you confess your fault, it is a dependent clause, or we can say subordinate clause. Similarly, we have to make the use of comma. I will pardon you. Okay. So here I will pardon you becomes the independent clause. We can use different sentences, dear students. uh, he succeeded because he worked very hard. It has also two parts. He succeeded, it is the main clause. Because he worked very hard, it is the dependent clause. Similarly, we here are different sentences. He fell sound asleep as he was very tired. So it contains one main clause and one dependent clause. I think now it is clear to you that simple sentence, compound sentence, and the complex sentences, they are now clear to you. Now what you need only to convert a simple into a complex, a compound into a complex, or sometimes a compound into complex, or complex into simple sentence. Now the basic features of these sentences, they are now understood by you people. I hope so, inshallah. I am hopeful that you have got these sentences. uh, in the coming lectures, I am going to do some exercises where we will convert a simple into a complex into a compound into complex, and sometimes complex into simple sentence. Thank you very much, dear students.